Hey, what's going on, everyone? Today we are going to be cooking chicken for one, as our show title intends. First, we're going to start with our sides. Our first side is going to be making some garlic bread. Now, before I even open the garlic bread, I'm going to first wash my hands. It's extremely important. Always step number one. All right, now that we've done that, we're going to take our roll out. We're going to cut it, just a couple slices. All right. Then we're going to go over to our pan over here that we have. It's been going for a while. It's nice and hot. We're going to go ahead and just spread the butter on the bottom of the pan. Get that nice taste, and also at the same time it won't stick to the bottom of the pan. It'll start to bubble. That's how you know it's hot enough. And you just take your couple slices of bread and run them along the bottom on one side, and then flip it over and butter up both sides. And let them sit in there. Now these burn really easily, so don't lose track of them. And while we have it in there, we're going to go ahead and throw our garlic powder to make it officially garlic bread. And then we'll just keep it kind of rolling around in there. You can see the edges are starting to get just a little bit brown, but definitely not burning. And then usually this is kind of the rice that I use. It's just microwavable. You throw it in the microwave for 90 seconds. And then you just throw it on the side, and you get more to like another side, a really easy side for your dinner. Okay, let's see how the bread's doing. It's still browning just a little bit. I mean, go ahead and take this time to start preparing our chicken, while also not losing track of the garlic bread. Now, usually what I like to do is cut kind of little imperfect pieces off the side of the chicken. So you can kind of see just the little pieces that are hanging off here. Just make it nice and easy, or else those little pieces will burn, and yeah, we don't want that. This piece is actually pretty nice. I mean, you can kind of see just everything's kind of one solid piece. Just a little bit of something there. All right, I've got that. We'll go back and check on our garlic bread. All right, now it's kind of hard to see, but if you can kind of feel where it gets a little bit crispy on the edges, and that means it's getting pretty close to being done. You can add more butter or more garlic. You can add just a little bit of salt and pepper if you want. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and take these off and get started on the chicken. Now, since we're working on the show, we're going to go ahead and clean out the one pan that we have, because that's kind of what the budget will afford us. And then we'll go ahead and start adding our oil to get the chicken going. All right, we're going to get the oil going, and when we come back, we'll go ahead and start putting our chicken on, and we'll get down to the main course.
Has this ever happened to you?
Are you low on sleep but need to look awake at school or work?
You need a pair of sleep goggles. They provide an extra set of eyes to make you look alert and ready to learn while you catch up on some much-needed rest.
Hey, welcome back. Now our oil's been sitting in this pan over our commercial break, And we've got it nice and even surface. You don't want to use too much oil. And we're going to go ahead and throw our chicken on the oil. When you throw it on, you're going to hear a nice sizzle sound. And that means that the oil is hot enough. And yeah, you're just going to want to kind of keep it floating around. You don't want it to stay in the middle of the pan. And you don't want it to burn. And that's usually where the most of the heat is. So yeah, just keep it kind of floating around in the oil. And there's no really set time. It kind of depends on how thick the chicken is. This is a pretty thin cut, so it doesn't really take too long to start cooking on each side. So you flip it over, you can kind of see it's not pink anymore. It's almost whitish, and that means that we can go ahead and start adding our rub on there. Now you're going to want to coat it almost the entire thing. You want to get rid of all that color. Put it all on top. It doesn't matter if you put too much because it's all going in the same pan, and you just slide the chicken around it anyway. And then now we'll go ahead and flip it back over. And we'll do the exact same thing. It's important to keep it at about a medium to high temperature. And then if you feel like you're starting to burn it or you just want it to sit in there for a little bit more flavor, you can turn it down to simmer. But you also don't want to undercook it, so keeping it at a high temperature is very important. So, kind of see we've covered both sides now. We've got a lot laying around the sides and stuff, but there's no problem. We can just kind of stir it in there and flip it back over. You want to make sure that both sides have started to cook, and it starts to get dark, and it almost looks like it's burning, but it's more caramelizing than anything. So now that we've gotten that, we're going to go ahead and start adding our barbecue sauce. It's pretty much any preference. I use a hickory bourbon. It's just kind of sweet and tangy. And you can pretty much just pour it on top. If you're making it for a bunch of people, I recommend using a brush. Just kind of brush the sauce all the way around it. It's a lot easier that way, but if you're just cooking, one at a time, you can kind of just spread it on there and it'll eventually find its way around. Again, it's all going in the same pan, so it's not too important. And then we're going to flip it over and do the exact same thing. We'll take the same brush. Now this is where we come for people's personal preference. It depends on how crispy you like them or how tender, how juicy. The longer you keep it on there, the more well cooked it's going to be, obviously. But you can kind of get a lot more flavor that way, and just make sure it's kind of still sitting around and all this extra stuff. You still have a lot of the rub in there, a lot of the barbecue sauce. And a lot of that will start to cook down and start to caramelize on there. So as you can see, it's kind of getting a little bit dark on both sides. And you just kind of keep flipping it around. Don't keep it too long anywhere. And it'll keep going. Let's see. You can always add more. You can add salt and pepper, or you can add garlic. You can add more rub. You can add more barbecue sauce. It's really, again, up to personal preference. But this is basically the basic recipe that you're going to want. And you can add alterations. You can squeeze a lime on there. Yeah, I mean, once you kind of get the basics down, you get to kind of be more inventive and kind of make it your own. So this thing would take maybe another 5 minutes or so to cook. But I'm going to go ahead and show you what the final product looks like. So this is kind of basically what we've made. This is the microwaved rice, this is the garlic bread, and this is the caramelization on top, and it looks kind of dark. So now that you guys kind of know how to make a basic chicken dish, go ahead and kind of make it your own next time. Thanks. See you next time.